Fantasy fanfiction. Guard the sky prison for 100 years, you will be invincible at birth. Chapter 31. Su Yuxing's expectations were naturally in vain. The Great Transformation Demon corresponds to the innate Great Master, so he can see it whenever he wants. What appeared before his eyes today was still a little demon. Tongji Realm Little Demon. The macaque in the mountains has become a spirit, cruel and easy to kill. It likes to hide in the trees, and it only smashes the heads of passers-by to suck the brains. It is said that more than 1,000 people were killed. What was different from the past was that when Su Yuxing saw the macaque was lying on his back on a stone platform with his limbs bound and his chest had been disemboweled. In the cell besides Su Yuxing and the prison official, there was also a tall and thin old man with oddly long fingers. When the little official who led the way saw the old man, he respectfully called out, "Old Shui." The old man nodded slightly, then glanced at Su Yuxing, and asked casually, "Newcomer?" "Yes. Tell him not to make any movement for a while, and to vomit if he wants to." "Okay." The leading officer responded, and then whispered to Su Yuxing, "This is the senior of our town's prison secretary, who is good at dispelling demons and dissecting demons. What you have to do today is to watch the whole dissection of the macaque essence, and give Mr. Shui a hand." Quote. Su Yuxing looked at the old man surnamed Shui in front of him, and saw that he was actually a master of transformation. This person had hundreds of odd-shaped knives in his hand. Facing the macaque spirit, he was very much like the surgeons in his previous life who were standing in front of the operating table and preparing to operate. Wuzuo is a department specially set up by the prison division of Kanai Town, specialized in dissecting monsters. After all, many parts of monsters are valuable training materials for practitioners. Moreover, some devils will practice the secret method of feigning death. After death, they have to ask the torturer to conduct a comprehensive autopsy before they can take away the corpse. During the conversation between Su Yuxing and the little official, the old man on the stone platform was already moving his hands like flying, quickly dissecting the macaque. Su Yuxing was afraid that the macaque would die, so he hastily extracted a little of his true energy and infiltrated it to complete the collection of the Sutra of Sin and Prison. Bucket. On the stone platform, the old man surnamed Shui suddenly spoke. Su Yuxing understood, and immediately placed several wooden barrels under the stone platform to catch the dripping macaque blood. The seventh knife in the third row, second column. The old man surnamed Shui spoke again. Su Yuxing hurriedly found the corresponding knife from the hundreds of scalpels and handed it to the old man. Seeing that Su Yuxing was walking very fast, the small official of the town prison department smiled and quietly left without disturbing him. In the following time, Su Yuxing kept helping the old man surnamed Shui. If he wants a knife, he gets a knife. If he wants a bucket, he hands him a bucket. I kept watching the tortured macaque spirit, from the initial rage, resentment, to pain, fear, and finally died in endless despair. The whole process lasted for 3 full hours. A thin layer of sweat oozes from the forehead of the old man surnamed Shui. Obviously, the whole dissection process is not a small consumption for a master of metamorphosis like him. After all, monsters have very strong skin and flesh, and in many places, they cannot be cut with the benefit of a knife alone without the use of true qi. Su Yuxing, the congealing pulse second stage on the bright side, was naturally out of breath and sweating profusely. Old man Shui took out a pot of hot tea out of nowhere, put it in his hand and drank it slowly, looked at Su Yuxing's appearance, and said with a smile, "You are not bad, you are smarter than the previous few newcomers. Are you interested in going to work and follow the old man?" Quote. Su Yuxing felt hee in his heart. It's not enough for you to ask me to give you a big innate great master, and you want to hire it for a long time. Old man, your face is really big. However, he naturally showed, surprised and ecstatic, on his face, and it couldn't be better to even say it. Seeing Su Yuxing's reaction, old man Shui showed a satisfied expression of, children can be taught. Then he went out to greet someone to come in to clean up, carried the knives and teapot, and staggered away. At this time, the whole macaque spirit had already been dissected into thousands of pieces by old man Shui. The whole body, from fur to flesh and blood, and even the feces in the intestines, are used to the fullest, and nothing is wasted. Su Yuxing couldn't help sighing. Peyoting Geniu, that's all. As soon as the macaque spirit died, the page belonging to the macaque spirit that had just been included in the Sin in Prison Sutra disappeared, leaving 2 chances for a lucky draw. Yes, twice. Su Yuxing pondering. The old man Shui killed the macaque spirit, and he helped to kill him. Is it an assist to kill? That's about it. Of course, he was not in a hurry to draw the lottery right now, and first said goodbye to the little official who led the way. The little official told him that old man Shui was quite satisfied with him, and gave him a first-class evaluation in this assessment. It was only then that Su Yuxing found out that the prison officer's entrance examination actually included grades. Go back to the 2nd floor of the dungeon, your own residence. Su Yuxing couldn't wait to open the Sin in Prison Classic. After the death of the prisoner, there are many lottery draws, and it is the first time to commit a crime. I don't know what to get out of it. Is there a lottery? Yes. Accompanied by Su Yuxing's order, a few scattered light clusters appeared on the Sin in Prison Sutra. Compared with the previous lottery, the number of light groups is much less. The largest light group was drawn by Su Yuxing. In an instant, countless memory images flooded into Su Yuxing's mind. In the picture, he was originally a macaque in the mountains. I don't like peaches and plums, but I like to eat brains. At the beginning, I just caught some birds and so on, knocking on the brain and sucking the marrow. Later, my physique improved, and I started to catch hares, wild deer. Then there are jackals, and even tigers and leopards. Finally, there is the brain of a living person. After eating too much brain, his wisdom and strength have greatly increased, and he has a supernatural power, and he can see the brain from a distance. In the eyes of him, the brains of different people and things also have different shapes and different colors. Ordinary mountain beast brains are black and gray, and have the worst taste, followed by living people, which are white and sweet. The most delicious is the practitioner's brain, or yellow or red or purple, sucking it like drinking oasis. After all the pictures disappeared, Su Yuxing opened his eyes and smacked his lips subconsciously. In the next second, he spat a few times in extreme disgust. Look at the harvest again. Supernatural powers, spiritual eyes, 7th grade, the 1st floor, 23/100. Su Yuxing was stunned. Supernatural powers. After killing the macaque demon, he actually obtained a supernatural power. The name of the supernatural power, Lingmu. Although there are only 7 ranks, the supernatural powers are supernatural powers after all. It is a God-given miraculous talent with various incredible effects. According to Su Yuxing's knowledge, many martial arts are created by observing supernatural powers. The best example is what he is currently practicing, the 3rd rank, the golden body of the Balrog. It was created by the people of power who viewed the ancient magic powers of the Balrog. Only, this supernatural power level is too low, there is only one level. The only effect is to observe the brain through the skull. I'm not a brain-eating maniac, so it's okay to see what other people's brains are doing. Quote. Su Yuxing shook his head, and immediately took out the tens of thousands of experience points he had accumulated these days, preparing to improve this supernatural power. The experience value is added to the spiritual ability. Su Yuxing immediately felt that his own eyes were wrapped in a cool breath. And this kind of coolness is gradually improving with the continuous upgrading of the spiritual eye. Then, countless grotesque and beautiful images passed by like a revolving lantern. In the dark, there is a feeling like a clear spring flowing into Su Yuxing's heart. When Su Yuxing opened his eyes again, a pair of pupils seemed to have double pupils looming, shining with many lights of wisdom. One level observation of the brain, the root of wisdom can be identified by the color of the brain, and one can explore people's wisdom. On the 2nd floor, you can see the heart and character. A person with a righteous heart has a beautiful heart, a person with an unrighteous heart has an ugly heart. The 3rd level looks at the soul. If the soul is strong, the lifespan will be long, and if the soul is weak, the lifespan will be short. The 4 levels of viewing fate can be used to see the personality of a person. Observing luck on the 5 levels, you can see the luck of people. 6 floors are impressive. It's a pity that Su Yuxing's experience points are exhausted, and his spiritual powers stop at the 5th floor. To advance to the 6th floor, a full 1 million experience points are required. far surpasses any martial arts cultivation technique in Su Yuxing. Hundreds of thousands of experience points have only raised 4 layers of realm, and this is just a 7th rank magical power. Improving supernatural powers would cost too much experience. Su Yuxing couldn't help sighing, suddenly. No, it's no longer a 7th rank magical power. Su Yuxing suddenly discovered that the original, spiritual eyes and supernatural powers, had changed to 2nd rank, at some point in time. What he has now is 2nd rank spiritual power. Su Yuxing was stunned. It turns out that it is not the realm that improves the supernatural power, but the grade. This is unbelievable. Su Yuxing was confused, so he added a 2nd rank supernatural power. Even higher than the Balrog Golden Body, 1st rank. 2nd rank supernatural powers, what kind of magical effects can they have? Try. Su Yuxing immediately walked out of the residence and walked towards Renzihao prison. If you want to test the effect of spiritual powers, you will naturally have to find someone to try. But when Su Yuxing came to the prisoner's rest area of Renzihao, he unexpectedly found that there was no one in the room. Where did you go? Su Yuxing was puzzled, but it was not easy to bother her colleagues at their residence. After thinking about it, he simply walked towards the cell. Prisoners are human beings, so they can be used for experiments. Su Yuxing quickly went to prison number 1, where the red-haired old devil was. Across the colorless and invisible circle of restrictions, the red-haired old devil could be seen sitting in the prison, motionless. Shu Shi heard movement outside the door, and the red-haired old devil slowly raised his head towards Su Yuxing, staring at him with empty eye sockets, quite scary. Su Yuxing didn't pay any attention to it, and only focused on displaying his supernatural powers. Look at the brain first. In the eyes of the red-haired old devil, a yellow light immediately appeared on the bald Mediterranean forehead. He has a yellow brain and a lot of wisdom. The brain color of ordinary people is gray or pure white, and the stronger the wisdom root, the darker the brain color. The red-haired old devil can practice to half-step innate, and his wisdom is not beyond ordinary people. Take another look. The chest of the red-haired old devil gradually turned transparent, revealing a throbbing heart. Man, it's even more amazing than X-rays. I saw that the heart was ugly, like a crooked old tree root. In fact, this heart is not really a red-haired heart, but a pinkson, manifested with the power of supernatural powers to see its character through spiritual eyes and supernatural powers. If you cut the red hair open and cut out the lungs and heart on the spot, you will find there is no difference between a red-haired heart and an ordinary person's heart. 3. View soul. The soul fire is blazing. It looks like there are decades to live. Su Yuxing judged. After all, he is an old demon of the 9th stage half-step innate, and even though he looks like he is about to die on the outside, he is still full of vitality and has a considerable lifespan. Of course, if he continues to be imprisoned in the Sky Prison and served with various criminal laws every day, the decades of time will inevitably be greatly shortened. 4 observations of life. This fate represents a person's fate. Everyone has a fate, good or bad. For example, the most common among ordinary people is the fate of great wealth and great honor, the fate of a lifetime of poverty, the fate of 3 generations of extinct families, the fate of being born noble. Fate is determined by God, but it can also be changed by fortune. Su Yuxing glanced at the red-haired old devil. The red-haired old devil's fate is fierce and expensive. It is fully in line with his identity as an old devil of the Devil Dao 7 schools of fame. 5. Views luck. Luck is luck. Ordinary people's luck is just a single breath, the most common white chi, the red aura of wealth, the cyan official aura, the golden or purple imperial aura. If the luck is strong, this gas can be concretized into various shapes and things. For example, the red-haired old devil, his luck is a red fire python, ferocious and terrifying. But he was bound by chains, unable to move. And there is a sword hanging above the chain. It represents the status quo of the prisoner who is now in jail, unable to get out of trouble, and there will be a disaster of weapons at any time, and the beheaded prisoner. After some operations, the red-haired old devil was seen through by Su Yuxing from the inside out. Su Yuxing also has a deeper understanding of spiritual powers. Immediately afterwards, he went to see the master Liansheng in the number 2 cell, and Yan Huan in the number 3 cell. It is mutually confirmed with the guesses and thoughts in my heart, and I have gained a lot. It is worth mentioning that, when Su Yuxing watched the heart of old devil Yan Huan, he found that old devil Yan Huan's heart was surprisingly ugly. It's dark and ugly, but it's also riddled with holes, poisonous water dripping, maggots growing inside and out, and the stench is overwhelming. It can no longer be described as ugly, it is simply nausea. Su Yuxing can be regarded as knowing what kind of heart this guy hides under his dignified appearance. The key point is that the old devil greeted Su Yuxing with a smile when Su Yuxing showed him his mind. "Little friend, come in and play. Play with your mother." Su Yuxing resisted the urge to gag, flicked his sleeves and hurried away. When they got to cell No. 4, Su Yuxing accidentally discovered that Lao Huang and another jailer from the Red Sea prison were there, as well as several officials from the town prison. He remembered that No. 4 prison was closed by a demon named Gui Tun in Gui Dao Wan Gui Cave. Could something have happened? Su Yuxing was puzzled and hurried up to ask. Number 4 seems to be dying soon, ask the prison chief to have a look. Lao Huang explained to Su Yuxing in a low voice. It is normal for prisoners in prison to suffer sudden illness, serious injury, or even die of old age. Even the vicious old devil has a day when his life energy is exhausted. Su Yuxing took a look inside cell number 4, and saw that the two prison officials were checking the ghost Taoist. Step out. The mind is exhausted, the body is corrupt, and time is numbered. An official of the prison department made a judgment, and then told Lao Huang and others, be careful these days. If someone dies, report it in time. Yes. Lao Huang and the two agreed. Su Yuxing took the opportunity to take a look at the prison with his spiritual power when the two prison officials came out. I don't know if I don't read it, after reading it. In Su Yuxing's heart, he let out a little surprise. He saw that the ghost swallowed Taoist, the outer soul fire was dim, but the inner soul seed was burning, blazing and bright. It doesn't look like he is exhausted physically and mentally, and is about to die. Ghost swallow Taoist soul seed is stronger than the sum of the red-haired Yan Huan and others in the previous cells that Su Yuxing has seen. With the blessing of such a soul, even if the body is necrotic, it is no problem to live for a few more years. Unfortunately, the warden judged that Gui Tun's time was numbered. What does this mean? This shows that this guy, Ghost Tun, is doing something secretly, and he is going to do something. Su Yuxing's heart was clear, but he didn't say anything. If Gui Tun doesn't do anything, it's fine, stay in the sky prison. Su Yuxing has nothing to do with him, he can only wait patiently for him to die. But if you want to do something, you want to practice the method of feigning death. Just right. Su Yuxing can take this opportunity to clean him up without anyone noticing. Let's go, let's have one less prisoner and we can do less things. When the cell door was closed again, Lao Huang called Su Yuxing and the two to leave. Su Yuxing used his spiritual powers to observe Lao Huang's fate and luck, and found that Lao Huang's luck was white with a touch of green. This is the performance of official luck. It seems that Lao Huang still has a chance to be promoted in the future. Then he looked at the fate of another prison guard walking beside Lao Huang. His expression was startled. This person has the appearance of violent death. The jailer's name is Zhang Feng, and he is 37 this year, in his prime. On weekdays, he is reticent, but he is down to earth, and he is quite diligent in martial Dao, which is already body tempering 8th stage. If he stayed on the 2nd floor step by step, he might be able to break his pulse in his lifetime and be on duty in the prison department. I never thought that I would die unexpectedly. Su Yuxing wanted to chat with Zhang Feng to find out about his recent situation. But the two didn't know each other well. After Zhang Feng went back to the cell, he went to practice martial arts by himself, and Su Yuxing didn't have the chance. Even after thinking about it, pay more attention to this person in the future, and if you have the opportunity, help him if you can. After using the supernatural power several times, Su Yuxing only felt his eyes sore and tears flowed down his face. And there is a slight sense of weakness in the body and mind. Only then did he realize that this supernatural power is not so easy to perform. You must know that he is the innate great master now. Xiao Su, you are not feeling well, you should go back to rest early, you are not on duty today. Lao Huang saw that Su Yuxing's face was not right, so he took the initiative to say a few words of concern. Before Su Yuxing could reply, a voice came from the door. Uncomfortable. Who is uncomfortable? I will go to Zuihulu with me today, and I will make sure you are comfortable from head to toe when you come back tomorrow morning. This frivolous remark, who else could it be if not Xu Qing? Lao Huang scolded with a smile. Sooner or later, your boy will die on a woman's belly. Xu Qing grinned and retorted, you treat me as you, Huang, I'm still young, and it won't be a problem if I play for another 10 or 20 years. Ha ha. Brat. Su Yuxing listened to the bickering between the two, looked at Xu Qing who had just arrived, and, driven by curiosity, used his spiritual powers again. Result. On top of Xu Qing's head, he saw a black dragon python with scarlet eyes, hissing in fierce flames. A person who becomes like a snake and python is born noble. Among the devil Dao, black is also the most expensive. This Xu Qing, fate is very honorable. Quote. In the room, Su Yuxing was thinking carefully while massaging his eyeballs with real essence. He had previously felt that Xu Qing was not an easy person. I never thought that the heels are so extraordinary. Qi becomes a dragon and python, and color dominates mystery. This is a proper noble son of the demon sect. Devil Dao is a man with a decent status. Hidden on the second floor of this small dungeon, what is the picture? Quote. Su Yuxing doesn't know, but knowing it is definitely not a good thing. But for him, it may not be bad. If it's like last time when Yan Huan was on the first floor of the prison, I might be able to use this wave of fat. Su Yuxing thought, adding Xu Qing's name to the focus list, and continued to massage his eyes slowly. This supernatural power is worthy of being called a second-rank supernatural power. Su Yuxing got a glimpse of so many secrets in a small test. If I go to the bottom of the overpass to tell fortunes to others, I think it will take a few days for the city of Yu to explode, and I will be known as the living god of the world. It's not that Su Yuxing hasn't tried to see his own luck and fate. But the so-called, the person who looks at each other does not look at himself, he tried it, but he couldn't do it. Not even looking in the mirror. So let it go. Time passed like this day by day. The town prison official still came to take Su Yuxing to the third floor every day. Sometimes I stay alone with a certain monster, and sometimes I help the old man Shui who is doing the science. Su Yuxing also took advantage of the opportunity to acquire 2 more supernatural powers. One is obtained from a pangolin spirit, and its supernatural power is called Yaojia. 8 products. The effect is to harden the skin and greatly increase its own defense in a short period of time. Su Yuxing tried it once, and found that once he used this supernatural power, pieces of horny layer-like pangolin scales would grow on the surface of his body. The defense power is improved a lot. Even when he used innate true yuan, he could barely cut it open. But it looks too ugly. It's quite unattractive to turn yourself into a human being after being armored. Su Yuxing spent some experience points, and casually mentioned this supernatural power to the 5th rank, so he didn't care about it anymore. Another supernatural power was obtained from a rabbit spirit. Keepin. The name is Linger. This supernatural power is interesting. It can make Su Yuxing hear the sound from far away. It is said that this rabbit spirit did not do many crimes, and did not eat a few people. But there is a problem with Bisheng. I like to listen to people's corners. At the beginning, I just listened to ordinary people say some short things about their parents at night. Later, I got bolder and ran to the city to listen to the secrets of the rich family. Later, he was even more daring, listening to the corner of the wall and hearing about Deu Shangguo's mansion. As a result, he was captured on the spot by the masters guarding the Shangguo mansion, escorted to the prison chief, and went directly to the demon-slaying platform after beating him a few times. It's Shangguo mansion again. Su Yuxing remembers the first prisoner included in his Sinan prison classic, the flower picker Sang Chong. It was also because the flowers were picked on Shangguo's daughter that he stumbled. I don't know how many immoral things this Shangguo has done on weekdays. He loves to recruit some ghosts and snakes. Su Yuxing was amazed. Every time Su Yuxing gets rid of the demon, he can get 2 lucky draw chances. Basically, it's one time to draw supernatural powers and one time to draw experience. Don't tell me, these monsters don't have high strength, but maybe they are very good, and the experience points they draw each time are really quite a lot. Macaque essence, pangolin essence, rabbit essence. The three monsters gave Su Yuxing hundreds of thousands of experience points in total. In addition to what he saved on weekdays, Su Yuxing smoothly broke through to the innate second stage realm, and his strength increased a bit. On this day, Su Yuxing was alone in the room. He was half lying on the bed with his eyes half closed, tapping his knees with one hand, and his ears were moving. This is to display the spiritual ear, supernatural power. Since getting this supernatural power, Su Yuxing has to listen to it for half an hour every night. Just like a retired old man listening to the radio, it really saved him a lot of free and boring time. At this moment, this nightly pastime was in progress. Partition walls have ears. They are all ears of Su Yuxing. Countless noises entered Su Yuxing's ears. Although it was the dead of night, it was more lively than the vegetable market during the day. Recalling the first time he used this supernatural power of spiritual ears, he was almost confused by countless, magic sound-filling ears. It's different now. After performing the supernatural power of the ear many times and raising the supernatural power of the ear to the 4th rank, he can already listen to what he wants to hear and not what he doesn't want to hear. Hululu, hululu. Ahem. This is the sound of snoring and coughing of prisoners in the 1st and 2nd floors of the Sky Prison. Everything. Squeak. This is the sound of snakes, insects, rats and ants crawling and looking for food in the Sky Prison. Ah. I really don't know. Dog slave, haven't you eaten yet? Work harder, haha. This is the prison guards on duty, working overtime, in the torture room in the middle of the night. The supernatural power of Linger is quite magical, and the sound he hears will automatically form a corresponding picture in Su Yuxing's mind. The above are almost all that Su Yuxing doesn't want to hear. Isolating them all, Su Yuxing began to fine-tune the radio channel. The first channel is Taoist, the ghost swallowing in No. 4 prison. In the picture, Ghost Tun Taoist with 8 soul-locking nails on his head is sitting motionless on the ground with his eyes closed, his breath is hardly audible, as if he is dead. Su Yuxing listened for a while, and silently wrote it down in his heart. On the 8th day of the 1st lunar month, number 4 prison Ghost Tun Taoist did not notice any changes. Then changed the channel. This time it was Shu Qing. It was very quiet in Shu Qing's room, and there was no one there. The quilt was neatly folded on the bed, as if no one had slept in it for many days. In these eavesdropping days, 8 times out of 10, Su Yuxing could not hear where Shu Qing was. And obviously there were many times when he saw Shu Qing yawning and saying that he went into the room to sleep. On the 8th day of the 1st lunar month, Shu Qing was not in the room again. Still write it down, and then switch to the channel. This time it was Zhang Feng, the jailer whom Su Yuxing had seen to have the appearance of violent death. Zhang Feng was diligent, and in the middle of the night, he was still in the room wiping his whole body with hot red iron sand, doing the body tempering method. The iron sand was grinding on the skin, making a small sound, but Zhang Feng did not change his face, which really made Su Yuxing admire. After listening for a while, Su Yuxing got bored, so Su Yuxing withdrew. Listen to all 3 focused objects, and then listen to what the prisoners in other cells are doing one by one. After completing these routines, Su Yuxing expanded the scope of the channel. Expand to the 3rd floor of the Sky Prison. Then quickly skipped over and went directly to the 4th floor. The prisoners on the 3rd floor are demon criminals. Su Yuxing heard it a few times before, and for a moment, he seemed to be in a zoo. The sounds in his ears were all kinds of animals screaming one after another. A demon is worthy of being a demon, even a little demon who has just joined body tempering can snore 10 times louder than a human. And the 3rd floor is really nothing to listen to. Those demon criminals, although they have opened up their spiritual wisdom, they have become demons. But the temper of most beasts is hard to change. They either grind their teeth or fart at night, which is extremely noisy. Compared with the 3rd floor, the 4th floor is much quieter. It is like a strange long beep sounding from time to time. The sound was very weird, like a cow mooing, or like a lion roaring, a tiger roaring, a bear roaring, a wolf howling. In short, it is different from any animal or monster's cry that Su Yuxing has ever heard. And every time the sound sounds, there will be waves of slight vibrations. Su Yuxing found a prison cell following the sound. The cell door was closed tightly, and restrictions were densely printed on the cell door. The first few times Su Yuxing wanted to listen to the movement in the cell, but every time he was blocked by the magic circle. This time he raised his spiritual ear supernatural power to the 4th rank, so he wanted to try again. Move your ears slightly to adjust the sound wave frequency. Gradually, Su Yuxing seeped through the magic circle. The 4th rank has supernatural powers and can already pass through the soundproof circle of the 4-story dungeon. It's just that it's still not very clear, the sound and picture coming back are intermittent. Fortunately, Su Yuxing could see clearly what the prisoners in the cell looked like. That turned out to be a dragon. Except for the long horn on the top of the head, the figure is slightly smaller, and the rest is exactly the same as the image of the dragon described in the storybook. Black scales all over the body, crocodile mouth and snake body. This is a black dragon. The whole body of this black dragon is bound by countless magic chains, and there are also nails several feet long that run through the 4 claws. There is also a magic circle flickering above the head, and the punishment of thunder and fire falls from time to time. In this situation, the black dragon moved up from time to time, let out a long cry full of pain and anger, dragged a movement technique chain spike, and the restrictions circle around it rattled. The ground connecting the magic chain also vibrated. Su Yuxing was greatly shocked. Who would have thought? There is actually a black dragon imprisoned on the 4th floor of the prison. The dragons are noble, even the flood dragons are considered nobles among the monster clan. There is something about Dayu Demon Slayer, even the black dragon dares to catch it back. Su Yuxing couldn't help being amazed. He stared at the black dragon and listened, for a while, until someone's voice came from the tunnel, and then he backed out. The person who came was wearing the official uniform of the prison officer. He was tall, with a white face and beardless. It seemed that his position was not low. The person walked outside the cell where Hailong was held, paused for a while, then walked straight forward again. Su Yuxing curiously followed behind. After following for a while, I saw the prison officer stopping in a cell not far from Hailong's cell. Used the lock key to open the prison door, and then walked in quickly. Su Yuxing naturally followed. In the cell, the prison officer walked up to a gray-haired, handsome middle-aged prisoner, and took out a small porcelain bottle from his arms. Then pour out a medicine pill the size of a pigeon egg from the porcelain bottle and hand it to the other party. The latter took it and threw it into his mouth casually. Good guy. The chief of the prison guard has an affair with a 4th-tier felon. Su Yuxing was shocked when he saw this. This is no small matter. 4 layers of felony, the lowest is innate Grand Master realm powerhouse. It is obviously not the first time that an official of the town prison department has an affair with him, and it is obviously not the first time to see one delivering medicine and the other taking medicine skillfully. Is this to help the other party escape from prison? Su Yuxing wanted to hear what the two were plotting. But he never thought that after the prisoner ate the medicine pill, the figures of the prisoner and the prison officer disappeared in front of his eyes. Su Yuxing was taken aback for a moment, before realizing it immediately. This must be because the other party has set up a tighter soundproof circle, so that the spiritual ear and supernatural powers can't hear it. Subconsciously, Su Yuxing wanted to raise his spiritual ear supernatural power to 1st rank. But on second thought, even if I hear their plan clearly, what can I do? Can I still report it to the prison chief? It's better to save this experience to improve your strength. If the 4th-tier felon intends to escape from prison, Su Yuxing doesn't know whether his current strength is enough to protect himself. Su Yuxing, retired, out of the cell, wrote down the cell number of Jia San, and withdrew the Linger supernatural power. He paced back and forth in the room, thinking about how he should deal with this matter. For a moment, Su Yuxing began to miss the time when he was a little jailer on the 1st floor of the prison. Although his strength is low and he goes with the flow, sometimes ignorance and fearlessness are also a very happy thing. The strength and magical powers have increased, and the more secrets learned, the people are also tired from life. Is this the so-called greater ability comes greater responsibility? Su Yuxing smiled wryly, and then spat again. Responsibility for bullshit. Even if the sky prison collapses, there are plenty of tall people in Dayu to bear it, so it's my turn to do it. The Dayu heavenly prison imprisoned all kinds of monsters and felons, and it can still stand for hundreds of years. Naturally, there is a foundation. What am I going to worry about? Quote, there is always a solution to a problem. Muddy Shui took the opportunity to touch it, and Qing Shui shrank back to a corner and cuddled honestly. As long as troubles don't take the initiative to find me, why should I bother? Quote. Thinking of this, Su Yuxing suddenly felt a bright light in front of him. He obviously can be invincible as long as he hangs on, why should he take the initiative to meddle with those who are not? Thinking of this, Su Yuxing immediately tore up the list of key concerns in his heart. Roll over to bed and sleep. Oh no. Before going to bed, listen to the night life of a wave of Yujing big households. I will never monitor the sky prison again. Boring. After this evening listening, Su Yuxing's life became simple and pure again. He is on duty during the day, and in the afternoon, he will go down to the third floor for assessment with the small official of the town's prison secretary. Continue to listen at night. But the target range of night listening is basically placed outside the sky prison. Only occasionally when the interest comes, I will go to the fourth floor to see the black dragon in the number 1 prison, and see the middle-aged man in the number 3 prison old handsome guy. Of course, just watch, as a quiet audience. Sometimes when he is not on duty, Su Yuxing will also leave the prison and go to Yujing City. The guards on the second floor have 4 days off every month, and they are even allowed to live outside after they are released from the yamen on weekdays. Su Yuxing used to think it was too troublesome to go through 3 or 4 physical examinations before going in and out, and at the beginning, he was concerned about the prison, and he was devoted to the use of sin and prison scripture to collect prisoners, and he rarely left the prison. Speaking of which, in the eyes of other jailers, Su Yuxing is also considered an outlier. 17 or 18 years old Blood Chi Fanggang's age, he doesn't go to the barn, he doesn't enter the brothel, he doesn't want women, and he likes to stay in the dark prison with the prisoners every day. He is really a strange person. Su Yuxing realized this, and immediately began to make amends, intending to slowly change his image in the eyes of others. Although he has never been to the first floor of the heavenly prison and the number of prisoners included in the Sin Prison book is decreasing day by day, but fortunately there are 3 levels of monsters to supplement Su Yuxing's daily experience point gain is still stable at around 20,000 experience points. Sometimes when a prisoner is beheaded by a demon, he will get a chance to draw a lottery and get an extra income. And these experience points were all invested by Su Yuxing to improve his strength. Cultivation technique and supernatural powers are not added for the time being. Unknowingly, Su Yuxing went up 2 levels in a row, raising his strength to innate 4th stage. The true essence vortex in Dantian grew several times, and the tendency of the true essence in the center of the vortex to solidify became more obvious. Clatter. Bang bang. Under the clear night sky, countless beautiful fireworks bloom. Vermilion Bird Street, the busiest street in Yujing City, is full of traffic and crowds, and there are joyful Yujing people carrying lanterns everywhere. Su Yuxing stood in the corner of the crowd, looking up at the night sky. In the clear eyes, fireworks are reflected. A fair-skinned, pretty girl in light yellow sleeves held a lantern, walked up to Su Yuxing with red cheeks, and gently tugged at his sleeves. Su Yuxing lowered his head in surprise, and the two stood talking for a while. The latter's cheeks became more and more red, and soon he crawled to the base of his ears, stuffed a note into Su Yuxing's hand, covered his face and left in a hurry. I was so ashamed that I even forgot to take the lantern. Plum Blossom Snow, Pear Blossom Moon. Wulong Mountain, covered by clouds. Quote. Su Yuxing gently read the 12 beautiful characters on the note, and then looked at the direction in which the girl left. The crowd is bustling, where can I see people again? With a knowing smile, he carefully put the note into his sleeve. Today is Dayu's Shangyuan festival, and the city is full of fireworks. Su Yuxing thought of coming out to join in the fun. I never thought that I would still meet a passerby girl who offered to send love poems. The predecessor is also a person who has read books for several years. Just now that girl ran up, whispered the words, Yulan Yueying, to him, and then forced him this note. Yulan Yueying is a famous landscape in Yujing. Yulin Lake, where you can see the shadow of the moon, is one of the favorite rendezvous places for countless talented men and beauties in Yujing City. And the girl stuffed him the 12 words written on the note. In fact, it is an unfinished short poem. There are still 3 characters on the back that have not been written. Plum blossom snow, pear blossom moon. Wulong mountain, covered by clouds. Most lovesick. Quote, how could Su Yuxing not understand such kindness? This is a clear invitation to invite him to Yulin Lake for a date. Can come up with such a cultured and romantic way of confession, this girl is probably a lady of everyone. It is said that women in Yujing are bold, open-minded, daring to love and hate, and today I have seen it. Quote, Su Yuxing looked up at the fireworks that were still going off above his head, and couldn't help sighing. I was in the sky prison all day before, how many beautiful scenery I missed. The decision to relax and get out of the sky prison is really right. Otherwise, I would never have seen such a lovely scene, and such a lovely person. An 18-year-old handsome boy. It's time to enjoy the delicious food and beautiful scenery, and fall in love to the fullest. Beauty is invited, shall we go? Of course go. With Su Yuxing's current strength, even if he finds out that he was tricked into getting here when he gets to the place, he is not afraid. Immediately, I walked to a small stall by the road and bought a few puppet dolls with unique shapes. Carrying the lantern left by the girl and tidying up her clothes, she rushed to Yulin Lake. But he never thought that Su Yuxing stopped suddenly when he walked halfway. Standing on the street, Su Yuxing looked at the lanterns and dolls in his hands, thought about it, and finally sighed. It's too late to come here. After finishing speaking, he turned around and hurried towards the prison. Just now, the Sutra of Sin and Prison, in his mind changed. After investigation, it was found that the ghost swallowed the page of Taoist. There is a problem. On the Sin and Prison Sutra, the page belonging to Taoist is shining brightly. The handwriting became blurred, but did not disappear. Not only that, Su Yuxing also had an extra chance to draw a lottery. This was the first time Su Yuxing had seen this situation, but he already had guesses in his mind. Did Gui Tun fake his death? This is only possible with feigned death. You can fool everyone, but you can't fool the Sin and Prison Sutra. However, it can make the information on the Sin and Prison scripture blurred, and even the number of lottery draws is revealed. It is estimated that it is an extremely clever way of feigning death. Su Yuxing hurried back to the prison. After 3 procedures of body examination, he changed into the jailer's uniform and went to the 2nd floor of Tianlao, Renzihao prison. As soon as I arrived at the cell, I saw Lao Huang and the others sitting at the table drinking tea and chatting. Su Yuxing walked in slowly, pretending to be nonchalant. Why is Xiao Su back? Today is the Lantern Festival, aren't you going to play? One of the jailers greeted him. Su Yuxing went to the 3rd floor of the prison to participate in the assessment every day, and none of the guards at Ren Zihao ignored him. It has been known for a long time that he is favored by the prison secretary, and he will join the prison secretary soon, and he will make a fortune. Naturally, everyone is close to him. Su Yuxing made an annoyed expression on his face, waved his hands and said, "Oh, don't mention it. Walking on the street, my clothes were stained by a few dolls, I lost all interest, so I just came back. There are so many people on the street during the Lantern Festival, there is nothing we can do about it." A jailer knocked on a melon seat and said with a smile, "It's such a pleasure to let you accompany us on duty in prison, drink tea and chat. You think Xiao Su is you? She is only 18 this year, and has a bright future and is born handsome. Naturally, I have to go out more and see if I can pick up a lady from everyone." Extremely extreme. A group of people joked about Su Yuxing. Su Yuxing showed appropriate embarrassment, then changed the subject and took the opportunity to ask, "Old Huang, I see that there are no prisoners in prison number 4. I'm afraid they have escaped." Lao Huang scolded with a smile, "Bah, bah, crow's mouth. The demon head of the 10,000 Ghosts Cave in prison number 4 is dead. Today's Shangyuan festival is rising and evil is disappearing, so it's really appropriate to die." Quote. All the jailers were more happy about the death of Ghost Tun Taoist. After all, fewer prisoners means less trouble for them to be on duty in the future. Su Yuxing pretended to be surprised, chatted with several guards for a while, and then said, I got a bit of a headache after blowing outside at night, so I went back to rest first. Su Yuxing originally wanted to find an excuse to go back to the room to draw a lottery, but he never thought about it. Lao Huang muttered, everyone is young, and martial Dao is also strong. Why are they so weak? They all complain of headaches. When Su Yuxing heard this, he stopped and asked, who else has a headache? Zhang Fang, I went to prison number 4 to collect the corpse, and when I came back, I was dizzy. What time is it? And I went back to the room. Maybe someone else wants to go back to practice. Indeed, he is the one who works the hardest in my Renzi prison. A group of jailers started chatting around Zhang Fang. But Su Yuxing's mind turned. Gui Tun feigned death, and Zhang Fang was dizzy, combined with the appearance of violent death seen on Zhang Fang before. Su Yuxing seemed to understand something. Half a quarter of an hour later, Su Yuxing came to the door of number 4 cell. Ghost Tun is dead, and the body was taken away by the prison guard, and it may already be lying on the demon-dispelling table at this moment. Naturally, the restrictions of the magic circle in cell number 4 were also removed. Su Yuxing walked in and took a look, and there was nothing unusual in the cell. He didn't expect to find any clues here. After all, the prison guard had checked it many times. Su Yuxing turned and left the cell, and returned to his own residence. Exercising his spiritual powers, he listened to the movement in Zhang Fang's room. There is no abnormality. Zhang Fang was sleeping on the bed wrapped in a blanket, as if he had already fallen asleep. But this is precisely the biggest anomaly. Based on Su Yuxing's understanding of Zhang Fang, it is absolutely impossible for this guy to sleep at this time. Ghost Tun Taoist is attached to Zhang Fang with a high probability, but what method is used? It remains to be found out. Su Yuxing didn't waste any time. After confirming the matter, he withdrew his magical powers, and then turned his attention back to himself. Sin and Prison Scripture. Gui Tun feigned death and contributed a lottery chance, but Su Yuxing hasn't drawn yet. Ghost Tun after feigning death still provides experience points. However, this experience value is too little, a full 2/3 less than before, and it is only equivalent to a prisoner at the pulse condensation realm. Su Yuxing shook his head, ignored him, and started drawing the lottery directly. Perhaps it was related to Gui Tun's suspended animation. Only one light group appeared in this lottery. The light group is black, giving people a ghostly feeling. The black light group blends in. In an instant, a large number of memory images flooded into Su Yuxing's mind. In the screen, Su Yuxing has become a sinister boy. Joined the 10,000 Ghosts nest since childhood, stood out in the cruel selection like raising a GU, and got the inheritance of the tens of thousands Ghosts nest. Then practice all the way, climbing up step by step from the disciples of the outer sect in the cave of 10,000 ghosts at the bottom. Inner discipline, outer sect deacon, inner sect deacon. In the end, he became one of the top elders in 10,000 Ghosts cave. It's a pity that the good times didn't last long. In a sect internal fight, Gui Tun was defeated and almost died. Call. Su Yuxing slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a foul breath. A look of vicissitudes flashed in his eyes, but it disappeared quickly. Ghost Swallow Taoist's inheritance far exceeded Su Yuxing's expectations. Who knows? The memory involved in this inheritance actually lasted hundreds of years. In this memory, Su Yuxing has almost gone through a ghostly life. Oh no. It should be Sansheng. Ghost Tun actually feigned death and rebuilt it 3 times. The 3 times I entered the 10,000 Ghosts cave, the 3 times I practiced the same cultivation technique, and the 3 times I practiced death to rebuild, the achievement of the first time was lower than the first time. No wonder, the same 9th stage of transformation, the ghost-swallowing species, is so many times stronger than the red-haired Yanhuan and others. Su Yuxing's eyes were complicated. Who would have thought that Ghost Tun's real name is not Ghost Tun, but Cao Xiao? It was Power, the demon head of 10,000 ghost caves with demonic flames more than 200 years ago. The fierce reputation is 10 times stronger than Ghost Tun Taoist, and the strength is more than 100 times that of Ghost Tun Taoist. Is an innate above. Spirit Sea Realm Ghost Cultivator. Su Yuxing also knew the method of feigning death and reincarnation used by Ghost Tun. This method comes from the cultivation technique majored in by Ghost Tun 3. It is also the inheritance cultivation technique drawn by Su Yuxing this time. First rank, Traveling Ghosts. Traveling Ghosts, first rank, the 4th floor, 2934 100,000ths. At this moment, in Su Yuxing's mind, countless light spots converged. A little black drop-shaped liquid appeared, and then rapidly increased and expanded. From water droplets to water clusters, and from water clusters to puddles. And in this process, Su Yuxing's thoughts also spread out. That feeling is like returning to when he was promoted to innate. Be fascinated, believe in the horse. Su Yuxing was not surprised by this. Because he has seen Ghost Tun rebuilt 3 times, he understands. First rank, the Book of Controlling Ghosts. Those who control are ghosts, and those who raise. But God here. It refers to the mind, and the meaning of the soul. Before Su Yuxing breakthrough innate, I felt that the world in front of me had changed. Can clearly perceive all kinds of spiritual chi-killing intent yin in the surrounding environment, and see people and things in detail, very clearly. It is because of his, God, that he has grown stronger. As for the Book of Controlling Ghosts, the major is the soul. If one's own spirit is not strong and the soul is not strong, how can one subdue those fierce and powerful ghosts? This divine state did not stop completely until the black water droplets in Su Yuxing's mind expanded to the size of a puddle. At this time, Su Yuxing's spirit was more than 10 times stronger than before. With a thought, the black puddle in the mind released an invisible and intangible spiritual thought, like the ripples of raindrops falling on the water's surface, spreading out quickly. Wherever the divine thoughts passed, everything was clearly presented in Su Yuxing's mind. He can even hear voices, which is better than his spiritual ear, supernatural power. This feeling is quite strange, as if he suddenly had countless eyes and ears. He manipulated his mind to easily penetrate the wall and seep into the ground. I found a room at random, and saw a jailer resting in the room. The divine sense pounces on the viscera of the latter, the blood flowing in the veins, the faint true chi running in the meridians. He could see everything clearly. Even flesh and blood can't stop it, and it can detect the opponent's strength from a long distance. Su Yuxing was studying, when the jailer, whom he regarded as a guinea mouse, suddenly turned pale, and fell to his knees with a plop, his body trembling like chaff, begging for mercy. Ghosts. There are ghosts. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Using spiritual thoughts to detect others, can you even detect a mere condensed pulse? Su Yuxing was thoughtful. In terms of concealment, it is far inferior to the supernatural power of the ear. Then spiritual mind came to the cell again, and was about to enter, but was stopped by the magic circle restrictions at the door of the cell. Su Yuxing increased the output of spiritual thoughts, and the restrictions immediately rattled and trembled, and the light flickered. There is a situation. Seeing this scene, the 2 guards passing by on patrol immediately rushed towards the scene, shouting. Su Yuxing hastily withdrew his spiritual thoughts. After experimenting in this way, Su Yuxing can be regarded as clear. Spirituality is really useful. The detection range is wide, the detection ability is strong, and it is extremely convenient. And it also has certain attack attributes. A few miles or even dozens of miles away, you can use your spiritual thoughts to frighten the enemy, and defeat the enemy without fighting. The disadvantage is that it is easy to alarm others, and it is easy to be isolated by the true essence and magic circle, and it is not secret enough. But if it cooperates with the supernatural power of the ear, this shortcoming can be well made up for. My current limit detection range of divine sense is 20 miles, which is almost 5 to 10 times that of an ordinary innate great master. Su Yuxing couldn't help sighing. Traveling Ghosts is indeed a first-rank peerless cultivation technique. No wonder it takes a full 100,000 experience points just to upgrade from the 4th floor to the 5th floor. Coincidentally, after Su Yuxing's previous breakthrough innate 4th stage, he has accumulated more than 100,000 experience points. It was simply added to the Book of Controlling Ghosts, raising the Book of Controlling Ghosts to the 5th level. In an instant, Su Yuxing's spirit soared. The black puddle in my mind, which represented the soul, suddenly expanded, and turned into a 1-acre square puddle in the blink of an eye. Boom! The skyrocketing spirit caused Su Yuxing's spirit to spread out uncontrollably. In an instant, it swept through the entire dungeon on the first floor, second floor, third floor, and fourth floor. Countless restrictions were aroused along the way, and the jailers and officials all had heart palpitations, and there was a commotion in an instant. And when his spiritual thoughts passed by the fourth floor at a high speed, Su Yuxing saw in a corner, a man in the high-grade official uniform of the prison guard suddenly jumped up, with a mixture of shock and anger on his face. He Fangxiao is young, dared to peep into the Deu prison. Before he could take a few more glances, a huge divine sense also appeared from under the 5-story dungeon and slammed into him fiercely. There seemed to be coldly humming in it. Su Yuxing hastily withdrew his divine sense, not daring to reveal any more. Hearing the chaotic footsteps outside the door, Su Yuxing had the feeling of a child getting into trouble. But this rough time, let him know it. It turns out that the first, second, third and fourth floors of the prison are guarded by strong men, and the one on the fourth floor, who is wearing the high-grade official uniform of the prison guard, must be a strong man from the innate Grand Master realm. The divine sense on the fifth floor. Should it be a strong person in the spiritual sea realm? Quote. After breaking through the fifth floor of the Sutra of Controlling Ghosts, Su Yuxing's soul also skyrocketed by more than 10 times. In terms of the strength of the soul alone, it can already compete with the spiritual sea realm. With Ghost Tun's memory of the third life, Su Yuxing also knows many things about the practice world. For example, the martial Dao realm division on innate. Above the innate is the Linghai, above the Linghai is the Xuandan, and above the Xuandan is the Faxiong, and there seems to be a higher realm above the Faxiong. Su Yuxing was secretly speechless. I thought that after I was promoted to innate, I could be considered a character to some extent. I never thought that there are so many realms on innate, and there are many people who can crush their own people. Go. You have to go. Set a small goal first, and let's talk about becoming a Dharma within 10 years. Quote. Su Yuxing's gains from this lottery draw can be regarded as extremely huge. Whether it is cultivation technique inheritance, strength improvement, or knowledge. If it wasn't for Gui Tun's 3 times of feigning death and rebuilding, and his spirit being damaged again and again, I am afraid that I would have no chance to get the inheritance of the Ghost Controlling Sutra. After all, it is a first-ranked peerless cultivation technique that directly refers to the realm of Dharma. Quote. With the identity and strength of Ghost Tunnel's first world elder Cao Xiao and Linghai power, he is actually a peerless villain who should be imprisoned on the 5th floor, or even the 6th floor. What I said was really a mistake. Quote. Longyu was teased by shrimps in shallow water, and tigers were bullied by dogs in Pingyang. Poor Gui Tuntang, a giant in the ghost world, the last thing he has learned, is all for nothing. Su Yuxing. Su Yuxing retranslated, the classic of controlling ghosts. The content of Controlling Ghosts is actually divided into 2 parts. The first half talks about restoration, which Su Yuxing has just seen. The second half is about controlling ghosts. It contains a large number of ghost methods and secret methods. Searching for souls, seizing souls, erasing consciousness. Of course, there is the most critical, raising ghosts and controlling ghosts. Wan Gui Cave Ghost Cultivator, all of his strength is reflected in the ghost he controls. For example, in the first life of Gatun, when he was the elder Cao Xiao of the 10,000 Ghost Caves, he had a Linghai Ghost King, several innate ghost generals, and countless ghost soldiers and ghost soldiers under innate. When fighting with people, the ghost flag shakes, and all ghosts come out of the cage, and the devil flames are surging. Su Yuxing couldn't help being amazed when he recalled some pictures in his memory. Only with this kind of ominous power, the Book of Controlling Ghosts is worthy of the 4 words, first-rank peerless. It's a pity that Su Yuxing inherited only ghost cultivation base in the lottery, but he didn't have half of the ghost pets under him. Neither does Ghost Tun himself. If he could be caught in the Deu prison, the ghost pets he had cultivated so hard would naturally be taken away by Tu Mozi. In order to become the supreme of Ghost Dao, Su Yuxing has to do it himself and train Ghost. Rhino photo. Su Yuxing tapped his true energy, lightly tapped between his eyebrows. Immediately, the scene in his eyes changed drastically. As the old saying goes, if you burn the horn of a rhinoceros, you can see ghosts and gods. The rhino's photo technique recorded in the Book of Controlling Ghosts is the meaning of it. In fact, Su Yuxing's supernatural powers can also do this, but he has never used it. Under the rhinoceros lighting technique, Su Yuxing saw ghosts all around him. In the corner of the room, there was a terrifying man staring at him with scarlet eyes. Su Yuxing was taken aback. Anyone who suddenly finds that there is an extra person in the room where they are alone will be frightened. He originally wanted to use the rhinoceros technique to see if there were ghosts in the sky prison, so he could catch two and raise them. I never thought that I have them in my room. And this ghost seems to have a grudge against him, looking at On's eyes as if he has the hatred of killing his son and taking his wife. Su Yuxing carefully identified it, and found that this ghost turned out to be Chu Longjiang, who had donated the 4th-rank human butcher knife to him back then. Is it because I didn't agree to deal with him until I died? As for that, follow me all the time, it's too small-minded. Quote. Su Yuxing shook his head, got up and took 2 steps toward Chu Longjiang's ghost. Unexpectedly, the guy's eyes immediately showed a deep look of horror. He turned around and threw himself on the wall, and disappeared immediately. Su Yuxing was stunned. After thinking about it, I came back. I am now an innate great master, and I have 180,000 experience in the 5th realm of the human butcher knife, the 7th floor of the golden body of the Balrog. Even though the breaking breath Ju has also been promoted to the 5th level, there is no breath at all. But Chu Long has kept this ghost 6th by his side for so long. Probably he has already understood his hidden strength to some extent. Although I hate myself, I am even more afraid of myself. If you are discovered by yourself, you will naturally run away. Knowing my details, I can't keep you anymore. Su Yuxing's face turned cold, and his divine sense was quickly released. It took only an instant to find the location of Chu Longjiang's ghost, and with a light scroll of his divine sense, he was able to capture him back. Under the shackles of divine sense, Chu Long twisted his ghost into a cloud of black smoke in Su Yuxing's hands, trying to break free. Just so you try the soul search technique. Su Yuxing's divine sense came out. In an instant, the cloud of smoke in his hand rolled violently. After a while, Su Yuxing opened his eyes with a hint of understanding on his face. So that's why you hate me so much. Chu Long will have a son when he is old, and he has a posthumous pregnancy. Before he was born, he was imprisoned in the prison. At the beginning, he was tortured to death and refused to speak, but in the end he offered to make a deal with Su Yuxing. All because he wanted to leave the treasures he had hidden to his own wife and children. It's a pity that not only failed to fulfill his wish, the secret that he had to keep until the end was reported to Dulo by Su Yuxing. In the future, his wife and children are doomed to be miserable for half their lives, so how can they not hate Su Yuxing? According to the method recorded in the Book of Controlling Ghosts, Su Yuxing planted a little soul imprint in the ghost in Chu Long. This can be regarded as controlling it, and it will be driven by Su Yuxing from then on. The soul seal needs to be strengthened from time to time, otherwise if the ghost pet's strength exceeds the deity in the future, there will be a danger of backlash. However, with Su Yuxing's practice speed and Chu Longjiang's background, there is no possibility of such a backlash in this life. If you have too many ghosts, you need to raise ghost banners, ghost pots and other ghost Dao magical items. A few of them are fine, and you can temporarily store them in your body. Su Yuxing thought for a while, and took Chu Longjiang's ghost into the fingernail of his left little finger. From now on, with a single thought, he can throw Chu Longjiang out to swallow ghosts and kill people. Come on, it's up to you, General Chu Long. Su Yuxing suddenly thought of it. Even General Chu Long can follow me, so if I killed those people before, will I become a ghost and follow me all the time? Su Yuxing immediately walked out of the room. After searching for a while, I found 5 evil spirits 7 or 8 meters away from my room. The eldest, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th of the 7 demons of Mobei. The first 4 died at the hands of Su Yuxing, and the last one died in the execution ground, probably following the first 4. The Mobei 7 demons were beaten to death by Su Yuxing, and their death was extremely tragic. Now they are hanging upside down from the ceiling, staring at Su Yuxing, like bats. Seeing Su Yuxing coming, he became frightened again and scattered like birds and beasts. Su Yuxing captured them one by one with his spiritual thoughts, and melted them all into his own fingernails. But I haven't seen Li Shang. During the turmoil on the first floor of the prison, the escaped military prisoners who died under Su Yuxing's hands were not seen. Su Yuxing speculates that it may be related to martial Dao cultivation base whether one can become a ghost after death. In the future, people who have seen my true strength will not only die, but their souls will not be let go. Su Yuxing caught a few more evil spirits, making up 10 fingers. Everything is missing in the sky prison, but there is no shortage of ghosts. Those who died unjustly, those who died of illness, those who died of serious injuries, those who died of hatred. There are too many prisoners, and there are a lot of them if you just catch them. But don't dare to catch too much. One is that I am afraid that there will be no place to put it on my body, and the other is that there will be too many evil spirits in the prison suddenly, which will attract the attention of the prison guard. Su Yuxing didn't dare to be too presumptuous ever since he knew that there were experts in the spirit sea realm on the 5th floor of the prison. I don't know if there are any ghosts born from those devils who were filled into the corpse pit of the prison department after death. Su Yuxing thought in his heart, when he became the township prison officer and his position was mixed up, he would definitely go to the 10,000 corpse pit to have a look. Those tyrannical old devils who became ghosts after death must be even more vicious. When everything was over, Su Yuxing saw that he was ordinary, but actually had 10 fingernails hidden by evil spirits, and couldn't help sighing. Martial Dao has cultivated to this level, he is already extraordinary, like a fairy. Quote. Of the 10 evil spirits that Su Yuxing collected, the Mobe 7 devils were the most vicious, followed by General Chu Long. But the strength is that the ghost soldiers and ghost soldiers of body tempering are first class, and they are completely useless. If I want to unleash the power of the Ghost Control Sutra as soon as possible, I still need a powerful Ghost King with full potential to lead the charge. The method of fighting the enemy in the Book of Controlling Ghosts is to bully the few with more, and to suppress people with ghosts. But if there are too many ghosts, there must be a leading ghost boss. Just like an army, without generals, without a leader, the combat effectiveness will definitely be greatly reduced. Where can I find the mighty Ghost King? Su Yuxing thought about it, and suddenly a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. He really thought of one. The reason why Ghost Tun Taoist fell to being captured by Tu Mozi and imprisoned in the prison. It is also because of this powerful ghost. Drive. Call. In the wilderness, a carriage staggered to a stop. The driver of the cart pulled the reins, looked at the desolation around him, turned his head and called into the car in a low voice. Young master, here we are. Oh good. Following his call, a handsome young man in a black robe stepped out of the car. Young Master Zhengshou took out a piece of silver from his pocket, paid for the fare, and then walked slowly towards a certain direction. The coachman took the silver and was overjoyed, glanced at the strolling young master, hesitated for a while, couldn't help shouting, "Young master, where are you going? How about I give you another ride?" Quote. Young Master Zhengshou shook his head. Forget it, my house is 2 or 3 miles ahead, I'll just walk there. The coachman laughed and said, My lord, don't be joking. There are no people in this area for dozens of miles. There are mass graves 2 or 3 miles ahead. In the middle of speaking, the smile on the coachman's face suddenly froze, and his expression became unnatural. And the handsome young master heard what he said, gave him a strange look in his eyes, and said quietly, My family is in that mass grave, isn't it? After finishing speaking, the whole person was half a foot off the ground, suspended in midair. When the coachman saw it, his eyes widened, his mouth grew wide, and he froze in place for 3 seconds. Then he yelled. He drove the carriage around and left. The speed was several times faster than when he came. Seeing the carriage disappear without a trace, Su Yuxing chuckled and fell back to the ground. Innate Great Master pretends to be a scary ghost, that's me. Su Yuxing's innate true essence combined with Qinggung is enough to support him to fly off the ground for a short time. At this time, Su Yuxing was in the wasteland in the western suburbs 30 miles outside Yujing City. There is an imperial mausoleum in the eastern suburb of Yujing, and a well-known mass grave in the western suburb. And the powerful ghost in Taoist's memory is in the mass grave. Originally, Ghost Tun took a fancy to the strength and potential of this ghost, and wanted to capture it as a ghost pet. But he underestimated the fierceness of that ghost, and he was promoted to innate ghost general. After some planning, Not only did he not succeed, but he was severely injured by the ghost general. Several of his pets in the transmortal realm were destroyed, and his vitality was also seriously injured. It was also like this that he was accidentally caught when he was hunted down by Tumozi later. Everyone who plays with ghosts, but in the end they still fall on ghosts. It's really a drink and a peck. The world is wonderful. Su Yuxing sighed, and walked towards the location of the mass grave in the western suburbs in his memory. He is responsible for the two superb Qigong movement techniques of snake-shaped ghost walk and floating light, coupled with the drive of innate's true energy. The whole person moves, his figure is erratic, and he can cross a distance of tens of feet with a flicker. If the coachman hadn't left just now, seeing this scene, he would have yelled hell in broad daylight. However, the rumors of ghosts in the mass graves in the western suburbs have not been a day or two for a long time. There is not much Su Yuxing, and there is a lot less him. After traveling for several miles, Su Yuxing finally saw the appearance of the mass grave and knew that he had arrived. But the size of the mass grave was beyond Su Yuxing's expectations. As far as the eye can see, there are grave mounds everywhere, and there are even no mounds, only a roll of tattered grass swept and thrown on the ground. Jackals and wild dogs can be found everywhere, and some even actively dig up the graves and drag out the buried corpses to eat. The stumps and human bones are scattered everywhere. After eating too much human flesh, even the eyeballs of each of them are miserable green. Ghost mist shrouded the surrounding fields. Although it was sunny at noon, the entire mass grave was as dark as dusk on a cloudy day. Su Yuxing released his divine sense to probe in, and the limit distance of 200 miles came to an end. They didn't even find out where the boundary of this mass grave was. Among them, there are many ghosts, and there are ghosts and monsters everywhere. This isn't a mass grave, it's clearly a mass grave. Su Yuxing was astonished. He finally knew why there was such a place at the foot of the imperial city. I'm afraid it's not that the court doesn't want to deal with it, but that it can't be dealt with at all, or the cost of dealing with it is too high. So much so that this mass burial site has existed until now. However, only ghosts like this can give birth to a powerful ghost that makes even a former ghost boss like Gui Tun envious. With a sigh of relief, Su Yuxing stepped into the mass grave. Not long after walking out, I felt a blur in front of my eyes, and two more things appeared in front of me. A yellow-skinned child with pure white hair and green eyes was staring at him faintly. The other one is a hanged female ghost with a pale face and a half-kai long tongue sticking out. The two of them blocked Su Yuxing's way very tacitly, and looked at Su Yuxing as if they were looking at a piece of delicious hot meat. Su Yuxing was taken aback for a moment, then couldn't help laughing. As long as he stretches out his hand a little and releases two saber chi, he can kill these two robbers. But that would be boring. It's just right, let me try the ghost soldiers I just trained with you. Su Yuxing flipped his 10 fingers, turned out 10 ghost images, and jumped directly at the two things in front of him. He put his hands on his chest and stood aside with a smile to watch the play. Come on, General Chu Long, come on, Mobe 7 Devils. It's up to you. Quote, Mass Burial Center. The ghost fog here is thick, almost 10 times that of the edge. No sunlight comes in, and the day is like night. Ordinary people come here, it is estimated that within 3 breaths, they will be eroded by the ghost fog, and their blood will be exhausted and they will die. And in this ghost fog, there are still many ghost shadows wandering around. There is a general wearing ancient broken armor, leading a group of soldiers, running back and forth in the ghost fog, like a patrol. Suddenly, a brilliant flame pierced the black mist. The ghost soldier who fell heavily on the patrol was stroked. The raging fire drives away evil spirits. A group of ghost soldiers wailed and screamed in the raging fire, and were burned to the ground in an instant. Seeing this, the ghost general at the head roared, drew out the half-cut knife at his waist, and rushed towards the direction of the flame. It's just that another fire dragon flew out of that place, entangled the ghost general, and burned him clean in 3 or 2 bites. The ghosts and monsters here are pure. A group of people walked out slowly. The Taoist priest is worthy of being the mages of the innate realm, and he has learned the true story of Thundering View. The Thunder Talisman can't come out, but the Fire Talisman already has such power, it's really powerful. Quote, a sassy woman with silver rings in her hair, wearing light armor and a long knife on her waist, praised her with respect and admiration on her face. Beside her, a square-looking middle-aged man in Taoist robes with a square face and awe-inspiring demeanor smiled slightly and said, "Miss Shangguan is absurd. My Dao name is Hualong, and I am also good at fire techniques, and my attainments in thunder techniques are really mediocre." Shangguan Yu said with a smile, "Anyway, with Taoist Hualong, the innate Dharma sect, on this trip, I will be able to get the Yin Lingzi mushrooms and return to my life as soon as I enter this mass grave as if I were in an uninhabited land. I can't, the old Taoist can't be called Fazong." A group of people walked while talking, when suddenly a blue aura pierced through the ghost fog, attracting everyone's attention. Looking at the light, I saw countless Lingzi mushrooms growing in a faint blue and shimmering light on a huge mound. Shangguan Yu's eyes lit up, and she said in surprise, "Yin Lingzi mushrooms. So many." As he spoke, he went up to pick them. But before he took a step, he was stopped by the fire dragon daced beside him. "Miss Shangguan, please wait." Shangguan Yu turned his head, and Taoist, the fire dragon, stared intently at the direction of the Lingzi mushrooms. Shangguan Yu just wanted to ask what was going on. Then I heard a loud roar coming from my ear. Roar. Immediately afterwards, the ground under his feet shook, and a ghost chi soared into the sky. And the location where ghost chi erupted was exactly the huge earth bag full of Yin Lingzi mushrooms. Billowing ghost chi condensed into black smoke, and a group of Yin Lingzi mushrooms bathed in it, with blue light glistening, making them look more and more beautiful. Shangguan Yu knew why there were Yin Lingzi mushrooms growing here. It turns out that there is a powerful ghost hidden. The ghost grows luxuriantly only after it is watered every day. Boom. At this time, the soil bag exploded, and a huge ghost figure tens of feet high walked out of it. Looking down at the few people like a titan, surrounded by the monstrous ghost chi, only a pair of lantern-like oily green ghost eyes can be seen. Even if Shangguan Yu was so courageous, being stared at by those ghostly eyes, her pretty face would turn pale, and she took 3 steps towards the retreat, her right hand tightly grasping the handle of the saber at her waist. Even if Shangguan Yu was so stupid, the officials of the Demon Slaughter Division who followed her turned pale with fright, eyes revealing panic. At this time, the voice of the fire dragon Taoist sounded. "You don't need to panic, just hide behind the old Taoist later." The fire dragon Taoist stood in front of everyone, and at some point in his hand, there was an extra palm-sized Dharma plate carved with red jade. He stared at the huge ghost with scorching eyes, and looked at it with joy instead of surprise. What an innate ghost general. It is very suitable to be used to refine Taoist guards. It seems that the old man is lucky today. As he said that, Taoist, the fire dragon, let out a long laugh, and leapt forward, flying tens of feet high like a big bird. As soon as the Fa was squeezed, the red jade fire plate in his hand immediately shone brightly, and from it flew out one after another fire dragons several feet in size, biting and biting towards the ghost general. The ghost general also seemed to be enraged, roared loudly, and soon fought with the fire dragon Taoist. The two fought against each other, the billowing ghost chi and flames mixed the ghost fog into a paste, and the momentum was astonishing. Shangguan Yu and the others stood far away, looking up at the fight between one man and one ghost, with slight shock and fascination on their faces. Is this the realm of innate? Really extraordinary. Quote. Tear. A black shadow rushed forward, tearing up and swallowing several corpse-eating wild dogs that were half the height of a person in an instant. When the black shadow turned around, he walked up to Su Yuxing and knelt down on one knee. It can be seen that its appearance is exactly the ghost of Chu Longjong. But compared with the previous General Chu Long, the current Chu Long has condensed the ghost body several times, and his strength has also greatly increased. That's right, so many ghost chi's flesh and blood are fed, and the strength can finally be seen. Su Yuxing looked Chu Longjong up and down in front of him, and nodded slightly. He has been walking in this mass grave for half a day. Encountered countless spirits, monsters, ghosts and beasts along the way. Su Yuxing didn't make a move once, leaving it all to the 10 ghost soldiers under him. The result was a series of battles. Of the 10 ghost soldiers captured in the prison, only Chu Longjong was left. Because there is no magical item for raising ghosts, ghost pawns cannot be revived after death, so Su Yuxing simply fed all the remaining ghost chi and so on to Chu Longjong. General Chu Long is also fighting for his strength. After eating so many of his kind, his strength has skyrocketed, and he has almost been promoted from a ghost soldier to a ghost soldier. The strength of ghost is divided. The strength of ghost pawns corresponds to warrior body tempering to condense the pulse, while ghost soldiers can achieve chi gathering. Ghost general corresponds to innate great master. Of course, just equivalent. Generally speaking, at the same level, ghost strength is far inferior to that of practitioner. Even the ghost raised in the Book of Controlling Ghosts is the same. Otherwise, the 10,000 Ghosts nest would have dominated the practice world long ago. Su Yuxing felt the ghost chi that was fed back from Chu Long's transmission of the soul imprint in the soul body, and it was quickly converted into experience points, and couldn't help but sigh. The Book of Controlling Ghosts is indeed the Book of Controlling Ghosts. The first rank cultivation technique is not called for nothing. The strength of the subordinate ghost pets has grown, and it can also be fed back to the master. This is really a way to become stronger while lying down, a true summoner route. Quote. Although Su Yuxing does not major in ghosts, the Sin and Prison Sutra can convert ghost chi into corresponding experience points, and he can also enjoy this benefit. Just imagine, Su Yuxing's millions of evil spirits in the future, after a battle, how much experience points can be provided to him. Su Yuxing didn't even want to do it himself. Controlling Chu Long will open the way ahead, while he hangs behind and walks slowly. Just when Chu Long was about to fight a headless ghost, suddenly, boom! There was a shock ahead, and the flames loomed. Su Yuxing's expression moved slightly, and he cast his spiritual ear and divine sense at the same time. Soon a picture appeared in his mind. Innate great master. There are still people robbing monsters. Su Yuxing immediately put away the leisurely look on his face and turned serious. Then with a point of finger, Chu Long will be quickly retracted. The headless ghost, who suddenly lost his opponent, was still in a daze, and a ray of saber light came, directly smashing it to pieces. After doing all this, Su Yuxing's body flickered, and his whole body seemed to turn into a wisp of black smoke, completely melting into the ghost mist. In an instant, it disappeared without a trace. Get together. The fire dragon Taoist pinched 5 fingers, and real energy poured into the fire plate in his hand. Long flame dragons flew out of the fire plate one after another. These fire dragons gathered in the sky, merged with each other, and soon turned into an unprecedented tens of feet of flame dragon. Go! Fire dragon Taoist pointed. The flame dragon immediately entangled the ghost general. The fire dragon is now a bit bigger than the ghost general, and as soon as he met his face, he entangled him completely. The raging flames made the ghost general howl continuously. Suddenly, ghost generals gushed out streams of pale killing intent. These killing intents quickly condensed on it, and in an instant it turned into a pair of armor, and a forest-white long knife that was tens of feet in size. The fierce ghost general in sharp clothes, brandishing a long knife, cut the fire dragon into several sections with a few blows, turning into flames that filled the sky and scattered. As soon as the fire dragon was cut off, the long knife in the ghost general's hand turned. Aim at the fire dragon Taoist not far away and chop it down with a knife. Boom! The long knife fell, and a huge deep pit instantly exploded on the ground. Rolling killing intent engulfs everything around it. Shangguan Yu and others who were watching the battle from a distance had not had time to exclaim in the future when they saw the fire dragon Taoist emerging from another place. Congeal evil spirits into soldiers. Good. I didn't expect that wild ghost generals could comprehend ghosts and supernatural powers on their own. The fire dragon Taoist stared at the furious ghost general with fiery eyes, and said word by word, "Such an old man will take you back and train you into a Taoist guard." Saying that, fire dragon Taoist flipped his palm. The red jade fire plate in his hand suddenly turned into a purple jade carving. The thunder light above beats, exuding a trace of masculinity and majesty. Thanks for watching, subscribe and support my channel.